Alright, so this is a bonus cape I've been doing. I thought about making an elaborate cape out of my orange fabric with a nice high collar and all kinds of fancy design, but I feel like with the hat and my hair and the sleeves that's a little too busy. So this was actually the curtain that had been hanging up in my room, first upstairs and then here is a basement divider. But I only had one. I love this kind of design on here, but I found it at a thrift shop for $4 or $5, and I really loved it. And it's got large grommet panels. And at first I thought, can I just turn these under and drawstring with my cute little bat ribbon? And initially I put it on the form and these pieces kind of folded together and it looked really adorable. Ow! Why are you whacking at me, Dad? I'm disturbing his new cat cave, apparently. I made you a pumpkin cat house and you don't like it. But yet I can't disturb you hiding inside of a cape. Okay. Anyway, when I took it off the form, though, that kind of folding came undone. I thought that I could tack it in place because I may still want to use this as a curtain at some point. I just love the idea of, I mean, I have goofy capes. I actually think I just bought another one. It was in one of the thrift hauls. I bought another red velvet cape for $3. But I just love the idea. I've made capes in the past for my nieces just out of curtains. But I actually simply think if I sew the grommets down and just run it through like it's a drawstring. I'm really pleased and excited with how this bodice turned out. At first I thought, oh, maybe I should leave the skirt just a skirt, or maybe I should leave them as two separate pieces that go together. But when the sleeves came out looking so extra ye medieval, I said, no, it definitely belongs as one whole costume, as I thought. And then I made the bodice and I'm so excited with it and just so pleased. It fit perfectly, which is really awesome. I think it fit so well because I used my pattern that I already knew was to my modifications, but I had to change just a few things around the making a square to a neckline. I can't talk because I'm kind of excited. And a few changes in the sleeves and the armholes with that. And then that lining into this new piece of bodice just was excellent, fit beautifully. I just wanted to show some of my baste work. As you can see, I'm inside out, so you can still see there's a seam here, but you don't see that on the outside, which is great. And if you can see, I used the orange matching instead of a brighter kind of basting like that purple, because I wasn't sure how much of this line I was going to see or I was going to need later. But it was amazing also working with a new iron that didn't leak, that had a steam option, where I had cut my new bodice piece a little larger, where I was able to fold under and fold again. So I sort of encased the lining and all the lining's bad seams where it was beginning to fray inside this nice new fold that's going to protect my nice outer seam as well. And the armholes fit really great. I tried this on actually over the clothing I have on and I still had room to maneuver. So basting in the sleeves here will be the next step, and any kind of gathering adjustment, or if I need to, you know, get in here and make any kind of little gusset change, I doubt that. Or right now I just have the generic little tack here of my shoulders. If I need any adjustments there, that's already built in to fix, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be a problem. I still, as you can see, haven't cut this little guy that I've been so reluctant to cut, my funny little patchwork material. I do think it's a little too short for the back, And I feel like just having this kind of strip across the back, I don't know what the point would be because you're not going to be able to see it. I do have another accessory that I'm planning where I think this might just be a really nice border to showcase. Again, some more of this fun patchwork that's just bringing a piece of this patchwork to every area. I have to look at any kind of medieval Italianate empire kind of style dresses. I don't know if that having a seam line there or having one piece completely come around is more historically accurate or proper technique than the other, but I just didn't want to have another piece, another seam line to be worried about tugging and pulling here. I wanted everything to be drawn at the center. And as I said, where I had folded back, you can see where I just have my base stitch in here, where my back trim is going to come around the collar and come straight down here, just to make a nice clean finish between this orange stripe and this orange stripe, that you're going to go from my nice little goofy gathers to stripe and then solid. And I think that my front shoulders are actually like a quarter, not a quarter, like an eighth of an inch wider than my back ones, but that's okay. Again, I don't know what kind of adjustment I'm going to be needing on the side for that giant sleeve. And you know what? I figure that little bit right there, you know, the back trim is going to fix that. So it's a good amount of extra gathering maybe, I don't know how many inches. I don't know, 5 inches or so extra gather. And again, that's just, I tend to gather a lot of things at the top for my sewing convenience and my body convenience. If I wasn't working with scraps, I probably would have done a lace up, spiral lace kind of front center gather, just because I would know that I'd be using much more sturdy material. I mean, there are still parts in here that you can see are delicate and frayed. So, whoa, was talking to the camera and it was not on record. I've been doing that a lot recently, okay? So I didn't think you wanted to see all my ironing and basting again on my bodice. I spared you that. But I'm so excited for this. I'm excited to get everything together. I may still need another kind of twill tape when it comes down here to be doing the waistband, again, because that orange check scarf is a little delicate, which is expected. I was going to attach the scarves, the big decorative draping scarves, in the sleeve themselves, but the sleeve is already going to be pretty crowded with the gathering. So the drape is not going to be attached to the bodice. It's going to just have an armhole and going to be worn, or maybe just tacked in there, just to save myself more work. And also just, I may want to do something else with them in the future. I'm not sure. But I didn't want it to be more bulky or more complicated fighting inside that armhole with all that material. The bodice is almost complete. I am really happy with how this has turned out thus far. My waistline will be at the shortest point of my patchwork gathering, so not totally under the bust empire, maybe just an inch or two below, more of a high waist kind of style. And I still have to do my bat trim, just my nice line of bat going around, of course. And the sleeves set in wonderfully. There were a few spots where I could see some of my other baste and other stay stitches that I had to go through and seam rip those out, but I did not put any heavier kind of interface or the horsehair or any other kind of lining to make these permanently stay poofed. But I like that they're very poofy in comparison to the sleeve, the inner sleeve that just retains its shape just so beautifully. I love that. I love also that this is kind of crinkly when I put it on, almost as if the magic of the material has a little spooky sound unto itself. So, and I did not, also, if I were doing this properly, I would have gone through here with some kind of inner twill kind of reinforcement, but I did not do that. I went through, I think, quadruple thread twice. So they're probably staying in place. And I was worried if I would need any kind of knock or gusset in here, but I don't. There's enough forgiving space up here in this lovely little poofy little bodice. So this is really cute and really exciting. I am really half tempted now to go make the exact same thing, but maybe with a little less gather and a little less poof in the sleeve, but just make myself a kind of black peasant medieval blouse. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. The sleeves relatively match in where the stripe kind of sets, but I kind of like that it, again, is not super matchy. But I really love these. I love these sleeves. I love just how I feel when I put it on, if that makes any sense. You know, I reused the tie from one of the pants here for my front gather. So I'll leave this hang on the form, let it sort of take its shape. I love that these little sleeves just sort of set their own way. So I need to work on the waistband. That orange check scarf is so charming, but very difficult to work with it. Oh, there's another little stay stitch. So I need to, again, fold that over and reinforce that. I feel like if I go to the store Halloween clearance and I find some orange checked ribbon for a couple dollars, then I might just go over that. I thought about if it's that problematic, will I just not have any kind of waistband border, but I do like having that waistband border there, and this will all be, this is drawstring in the front, but then the waistband will be a drawstring tie in the back. So I can let this hang, I can press down that waistband, and then these will be stitched together. These are the drape sleeves, which I feel like they look like a bit much when it's just the bodice top sitting here. I thought about having these set in the sleeves, but again, this kind of lightweight scarf material, it seemed easy to fray, and I thought if I have to keep folding it over for a seam line, it might be a little too bulky in the shoulder. So they're just tacked at the corners. So that way it just drapes at the shoulder, and the little tack here at the end, so it could just completely dangle freely of the arm, or it can actually come up here, not on the finger. I initially thought about making sort of a finger tie, but it actually comes around the wrist. So it can open and completely drape and expand, which is absolutely delicious. I wasn't going for historical accuracy. The dress, I feel, is more maybe Italianate in style, but I feel like this kind of swoop sleeve is more sort of Burgundian, perhaps. So I was kind of combining more older styles in order to get a more, not just patchwork of the design, but sort of the patchwork collection of Halloween. Ooh, I love the way the sleeve is just staying in that position. Oh, that is exceptional. Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. This is a kind of dusty, actually. Whew. A dusty pimp cane here. I got this a couple years ago, actually, at a thrift shop for $1, half tag, and it's been leaning in the corner here for all this time. I haven't been sure what I want to do with it, because obviously it's a pimp cane. That's, you know, not something that I could utilize. I got it because I really love this little, can't quite see because there's a glare. There's water inside here that makes this a little heavy, and I thought that I might just somehow cut this off and just use this little gem for something fun. So I am going to doctor this pimp cane. I'm going to doctor this pimp cane, make it sort of a, it has a black base which matches on my design, but I want to doctor the top in a more natural kind of motif. I have some egg cartons that I just want to cut, and with some tape just kind of shape something, not exactly like Gandalf's kind of staff, but some sort of more natural, gnarly kind of surround to this, and which I'll probably paint sort of a black and brown kind of aged kind of look, so to sort of bring the cane and the brown kind of together, make it nice and gnarly. And I will probably paint this little guy orange. We'll see. That's probably the last thing that I should be doing. But I actually still have some major sewing left to do, but I'm looking forward to playing with this guy. I know what you're thinking. Like, Kbatz, what the heck are you doing? All these hot glue lines are just to give this a little more dimension and texture, where I could shape and fold these little carton pieces out. Instead of just having them be up and flimsy, now they have a little weight and substance to them. They don't exactly look like antlers like I intended. or branches. It looks like a combination of antlers, branches, and flames, which, in a way, I guess kind of works. You knew it was only a matter of time before Kbatz brought out the glue gun. Yes. Today was productive. I painted egg cartons to look like poo. Alrighty. I'm actually really pleased with this. I was a little worried when I was using these kind of cup cartons. I thought little cup carriers to kind of shape this base, and it didn't look right. So I kind of untaped all that and just reshaped the carton designs around the little globe. So this looks really cute. That brown paint that was a little globular actually kind of worked here and kind of adding to some of the gnarly kind of design. So I'm just going to leave this dry for the rest of the night, and then I can come back in because I don't have brown. And I was going to paint this green, but I don't have any kind of green elsewhere in the ensemble. So, nor do I have brown. So I will go back over this with maybe black for sure, but maybe in like a dry brush kind of technique, I think. Just to sort of aged and gnarly kind of blend all this together. I have been experimenting with some makeup because I thought some makeup would need to go with my costume, and I kind of don't like it. My goal was to have, there we go, a nice shiny bat kind of by the side of my face, and then the nice sort of tilted plume, you know, and kind of a little bit of a cavalier kind of motif. sometimes you make crafty things and they're wonderful and adorable, and even when you're working on patchwork scraps, they come out great, like the dress. And other times, you know, it just looks crappy and you think, well, if it could only last for a couple hours, it's done its job. Okay, so maybe with the dress it doesn't look so bad, but because at least you see that it matches something, and there's just so much more to look at overall. But I don't know, I still don't love the hat. And look what I found. It is one of the doctored Masquerade masks that I made, it was last year, January 2020, before we knew about the dark times. I did a video on this, I think. There's an article on this at horroraddicts.net. This was a dollar store mask that got redone with Kbatz, of course. And I am also tempted to make this part of my Halloween mystery. I think the hem may be a little uneven. I thought about wearing taller shoes, but that doesn't look quite right. I had a large enough hem to turn under that was where I could just set in my little battery pack, which is adorable. And you know, I'm lazy at this point. I just want to be done. The only thing I have left is the bat trim. I just hot glued my hem at every seam. I am really half tempted to put on my roller skates underneath. Then I can just briefly, I wanted to explain why I was calling this a Halloween mystery sewing project. To me, it was just a patchwork of all the kind of supplies that were just being lumped together that I thought that I could use to make one giant thing. And to me, it was a little piece of everything Halloween. And to me, that kind of melded together as the personification of Halloween. And I had looked up when we first began, you know, using the terms All Hallows Eve. And I feel like it was, for some reason, I honed in on like the 15th century. So that's where I was thinking of something that more Italianate or Burgundian, or something just medieval fantasy kind of looking, compared to maybe something more Victorian. So I love the idea of the mystery and the fear of the unknown, and maybe the hysteria that came through the ages, where if we could personify Halloween, you know, what would it say? What would they have seen, you know, through all those years? And that pieces, you know, maybe more like a magnet, how pieces just kind of stuck over time to kind of combine this kind of shape. So we had bats and, you know, skulls and crossbones like pirates, and, you know, witches and black cats, you know, all these things that kind of came together. And so it kind of started out as maybe an empire style kind of Italianate kind of dress, but then, you know, more fantasy kind of billowing kind of sleeves, and the belt, the beaded belt, I thought was a little more of a Tudor kind of edition that came on later, and the more cavalier kind of style hat. So I felt like this was a great kind of accumulation of everything. And so I kind of thought, well, you know, there is part of that kind of fun in that kind of mystery. And initially, you know, I wasn't sure if I was going to include those horror print pajama pants because I thought, well, they don't really go with the theme. But then the more I thought about it, the more I realized, well, they do belong because that is kind of our modern connotation with Halloween. Everybody loves a good scary movie. Celebrate all of our traditions that have come together over the years. That's why I was really glad that I was able to bring in a more natural kind of Samhain kind of motif into the staff. The mask being more masquerade, kind of carnival, you know, kind of thing. So I love that there's a little piece of everything that has gone into this. And as I said, I'm really glad that now I have the base kind of costume that I can make corrections later if I want to change things up. But I can also continue to add new things to it. I think some people were probably like, it's a mystery. I don't care. I just want to press play and fast forward through the video to get to the end and see what the heck it is. You know? And then I had so much footage because I was going sometimes in so much detail about what I was sewing. And then sometimes I just had some of the little rapid kind of high-speed footage of when I was just painting and putting something together. So there was a lot of mixed kind of footage. And I thought, well, maybe there's some inspiration in here for everybody that I could do this as a really affordable, fun project. And so I wanted to be able to show all of the work that had gone into it because, well, maybe there was one part where, oh, well, somebody said, oh, I'm not going to sew that kind of elaborate dress. But, oh, hey, you know, I can just hot glue a hem. Heck, who knew? So briefly, I wanted to discuss some of the costs and the results that went into this. I started doing this at the end of June, off and on during the weekends, this project. So it shouldn't have taken as long as it did, and it shouldn't have come down to the beginning of October as it did. It should have been done already. And some of that footage I couldn't obviously go back and redo. So lighting, fighting with the fluorescent lighting, some of the audio, some of the shaky cam. So it was a lot of crazy video footage. I really still do not love the hat. I did go to the store and I added a headband inside here to help it stay on a little better. So that added another $1 to my costs. I really don't love it at all. And so, as I said, it was just leaning here. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. It is actually 2 pieces. It comes apart. So I guess if you want to just have a short sort of, you know. So I'm very pleased with the pimp cane. I should stop calling it a pimp cane. It is now a magical mystical staff. As you can see, I did do the shape, a little bit of glue drip and a little bit of just a twisted masking tape down the staff a little bit. I didn't want to go all the way, again, because I did still want to separate it if possible. But also, depending on where I would be gripping it with my hand, I didn't want to have any kind of glue or problem changing. You know, if my hand would rub off the heat or rub off any of the coloring or anything. So, but I'm very excited about this. This came out far better than I expected. Again, we're using egg cartons, which I have actually saved a lot of egg cartons for my next Gothic painting project. Again, I already talked about this, the making of several of these masks at horroraddicts.net, and this already had the stick with it. So I do like the idea that this can be dangling on my arm and pulled up as mask as needed. One thing I didn't really have video of is this little bag pouch, which you can hear. Again, it was dollar store bells, and this little tassel actually came from this curtain. When I needed to make this curtain longer, I have a video about this as well. And I just cut a dollar store table runner in half that had these little tassels on the end. And I saved the tassels. They went into my stash. I said, I'll use these for something else. And again, I thought this was just an adorable kind of medieval accessory. And I reused the drawstring from the horror pajamas and the bat pajamas. The skull pants string, I believe Gritty took. So that became a cat toy, but that's okay. The bead belt also. I had the bat charms. I didn't know what I was going to do with them. And there's two. There's the 3 hook here in the center, which I thought, well, that makes the perfect sort of medieval kind of belt. But there is also this tiny one down here at the bottom, which I don't think really gets seen very well, but it's there. That's what I think is also cute about this costume. There's so many things to see and uncover and explore. And these were, again, some of these were thrift beads that Grandma had a case of beads. Some of these larger gems actually came from beaded Christmas garland that I picked up at the thrift store. I looked at this and thought beads. I wasn't thinking of tree holiday decorations at all. I thought this is beads. Okay. And this was just black ribbon that was strung together, and I've got a hook in the back, just actually a regular lobster claw bead hook. So this was already stuff that was in my bead stash supply. These scarves were gifts I found out from my mother. They were from Marshall's. So they only have these little tacks here at the corner and at the shoulder, so I can still reuse these in any nice way. Another thing that I would definitely change in the future is this checkered waistband. I don't mind that it's kind of looks a little uneven now in the form because of the way it's gathered in the back. It has a nice bow in the back where it comes through that's cute. But just that this was a dollar store scarf and was just ended up being too delicate. As I was folding it over and sewing, there would be a lot of little pulls and pricks in it. So I do think I may replace this in the future with just another kind of ribbon going around. My bead trim. I get excited about certain parts of this project. My bat trim, I just absolutely love. It was a 10-yard roll for $2.50 that I had gotten clearance at a local fabric shop. And I need to look up where I can get more. I used to have little sew labels that said made with love and kisses when I made costumes for my nieces when they were younger. And now I feel like everything that I make, I just want to put one of these little bats in the collar. I absolutely love the bat trim. The thing I love most about this, there were times when I absolutely hated sewing, going through every single one of these seams over and over again. Fighting with all the fraying and the delicate material. There was a time where I was really glad to put the sewing machine away and be done. But at the same instance, I really, really love this so much. I love the dress itself without all the bells and whistles. I realized that once I actually did put the hem on, because the lights and the tulle, the glue, made it very heavy. And that was when, and it's also, again, that's for show. I mean, you don't just kind of chillax in your chair with your LED lights and your big itchy tulle. That's when I realized it became a costume instead of a dress. And I really just want to do the same thing again. I want to make another one. It seems like it's a lot when it's the cape, and it seems like everything is kind of hidden under the cape. But then I just love the kind of wonder of well, when the cape comes back and the medieval sleeve pops out, but then when the medieval sleeve is off, how the great puff comes out. So the only aspect of this that I don't like is the hat. Total legacy craft stash, I was actually only at $39.50. Which at first I thought I was 37. I was like, woohoo. And then I realized I forgot about the little magical bats, little stick-on bats. So $39.50. So that was just my legacy cost. And then it was $7.50 for what I bought new this year, which was the orange ribbon, the glitter ribbon, the headband for the witch hat, and all that. Basically, and one orange light set that I was surprised when I realized I had two of the same. Basically everything that was new, that's $7.50 when you think about it, went into the witch hat. So it's kind of ironic that, this whole ensemble proves what can be done when you're just going from your craft closet. And when I went and bought things that I thought would be the little extras, that was where I added some more cost. Not major cost, but a few new things that turned out to maybe be not as good, where it went from being deliciously over the top to, okay, that's crappy, it went too far. This is something that's definitely affordable. I enjoy doing things that are fun and affordable and having a good time with what I can make, as opposed to, for $53, I could not go buy all this kind of rushed design material and all this fancy yardage of Halloween print. I love it. The hem is very heavy. It lets everything just hang and drape. I love the dress as is. I really do. I will probably, if I were wearing the flounce fantasy sleeves long term, I probably would tack them in, because after swishing and roller skating around for a while, they did start to slide down. Most of the time they stay up with this poof of this sleeve. Really excited to make another one as a regular dress. I'm not tied in here too tightly. I have it tied in the back, and the belt here is adjustable. I did pull it up a little higher and tighter because of my roller skates. My little bag here dangling on it. I love, again, a little extra, have a sound wherever you go. But yet I feel like the dress has a really great shape to it, even though I'm not. I could be even tighter and really be sucking in, but I'm not. But I love how the back trim and this extra patchwork on the bodice kind of creates the shape we have today. I feel like we try and make our bodies to fit what is in our fashion rather than making the material work for us. And that nice extra back trim just kind of creates, I feel that nice, that it's a princess line for a reason, I guess. It is a very flattering line. It's creating a great silhouette. And this dress itself, outside of the hem, is actually very light. Um, it's not lined, so, and with all this cotton from the pajamas, it's actually very comfortable. I really love the dress. I really just love being in the dress in itself. Um, with the hat and the cape and the extra sleeves, however, it got very, not heavy, but it got very hot very fast. Being roller skating back and forth here. So if you were doing some kind of outdoor parade kind of statement kind of event or something, or just going for your walk in your neighborhood trick-or-treating, it's actually very warm. I was surprised. But I'm really excited. I'm really pleased with how it turned out.